Okay, well, hello everybody. I'm Brian Burke, and with me is my dear friend
Sam Shihab.
Sam, good evening. It's Monday, it's 6 o'clock, and it means it's time for us to talk about fun immigration issues.
Visa Bulletin prediction. But before we go there, the question is,
what do you do with all this information?
Yes.
We're going to start talking about dates, and then we're going to start talking about what does it mean to you and how can you act and do anything about it.
How is that going to be helpful to everybody, right?
Yeah.
All right, wonderful. Sounds good. So 150,000 visas are going to be looked at and allocated this October for employment-based immigration flowing from last year's unused family immigration per the regulations. If we had the Trump administration travel ban, we have the COVID pandemic, we have shutting down the embassies last year, and then we have 150,000 unused visas. Last month we were told there were 160,000. It was revised downward to 150,000 unused visas. They're going to come in and they're going to dump them on the employment-based immigration, and there is a system of allocation. And however you flip these numbers around, as they allocate them based on 7% per country, and then anything unused, they will go into the oldest priority date, and obviously it's being India EB2 and then India EB3. We anticipate that India will receive probably 100,000 available green cards in October.
Yeah, so I mean, you lose the ones that are going to be, and that's something we'll talk about, the ones that, the wastage, you know, there will be, they've said those visas are going to be wasted, but there's going to be a new set of visas to replace them. And it means the Visa Bulletin is going to do some stuff. And Sam, I just want to get into those numbers. I want to get into our dates.
Let's do it. So you want to jump in right away? Well, let's go on the easy ones.
Okay.
What do you think of EB1 India?
EB1 India, going to be current. Got to be current.
Okay.
It seems like it's going to get to current.
Okay, sounds good. So they're going to just take it in and see what happens. Yeah. All right, I'll buy that. And obviously, all the other chargeability that are current will remain current.
Yeah.
China is very close to being current, so really there's no controversy on China.
Yeah.
It's improving very steadily.
We were looking at the numbers, and they're in 2018 for EB2, 2019 for EB3, I think it was.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you expect another leap forward for them, it means they're going to be tantalizingly close to current, if not totally current.
Yeah, so that's really great news for our Chinese clients for EB2 and EB3 China.
But we just get asked about EB2 and EB3 India all the time.
The painful pieces, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with EB2 India.
EB2, are we doing dates or filing or final action?
Well, let's do the analysis first before we give them the dates.
Okay.
All right. So why India EB2 is moving slow?
Well, everybody out there, think aloud. What immigration category are you in? Are you in EB2 or are you in EB3? Lots of folks from India come to the United States either with a lot of experience under their belt or come here to get a master's degree. They all qualify for EB2 category. It's supposed to be the more prestigious, in theory, faster category because it ranks above EB3. And suddenly you have a glut of people in EB2, and the EB3s blows your brain, but it goes ahead.
Also, the way the State Department is allocating numbers, the convergence, the downgrade from EB2 to EB3 is not opening slots in the EB2 category, amazingly. Apparently, until the I-140 in the EB3 is approved, will they open up a slot in the EB2 India to move these dates forward. And because of that, it looks like EB2 is getting penalized.
Yeah, but I mean, it's in my brain. It's been in my brain for a while that EB2 has to. If people are all downgraded to the EB3 category and their I-140s are pending and soon to be approved, ultimately those folks, the EB2 has to start catching up. If everybody who's slowing down the EB2 category is now going to bog down the EB3 category, EB2 has to clear up, and that's on my prediction list. The EB2 has to start catching up.
Unless USCIS start approving I-140s in the EB3 with large numbers for India, EB2 is not going to feel, it's not going to get the love it needs to get.
I'll admit, my premise is based upon them approving EB3 EB3 I-140 green cards, and raise your hand if you have an EB3 I-140 green card that's still pending, even though your priority date's current, and a zillion hands shoot up in the sky, you know?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, all right, excellent. So now there are two dates, there are two charts. There is something called the final action date, and then there's something called
Dates for filing.
the dates for filing. So do you want to explain what is the final action date?
Final action date means when you're current under that date, you have a green card of a visa number available to you, meaning USCIS, effective you being current, they can approve your case. Are they doing that right now? Not doing a great job of it because they're incredibly backlogged. They got a zillion cases in October 2020, and they're just, in a way, I can't imagine what their offices look like.
Yeah. So the final action date is really the legal date for actual visa, in fact, available at the publication of the Visa Bulletin.
Yeah, and I'm thinking if you're somebody who managed to get a case filed in October 2020, that's the number you're thinking about right now. That's the only one that really matters to you anymore. It's when is my final action date going to become current?
Because that's how they hand green cards.
Yeah.
And it is binding on USCIS. That's the thing. And it's binding on the Department of State that date is a visa is available for anybody earlier than the published date, right?
Yeah.
So that's the final action date. Then what happened is, I don't know exactly what date, but about a decade ago, they came out with this filing date concept.
Is it that long? I mean,
maybe less?
maybe like 2014 or 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, close to it.
I'm 10 years, and I remember it happening. Yeah.
Okay. So they came out with this new date. It's called the filing date. And it's really a brilliant idea. The filing date, the State Department thought that is going to be a great idea. It's a kind of a forward look date. So the filing date is the date you should get your papers ready and file your application. The final action date when they hand you the green card.
Yeah.
And they created a gap of 6-7 months to a year between those two dates. It's a look forward date to allow you to.
They basically, I mean, my understanding of the logic is, hey, if you file when your date for filing becomes current, we think we're going to have a final action date for you available by the time we've actually processed your case.
Yes.
It
makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Don't make you wait longer than you have to.
So prior to that, you begin filing with the final action date, and then by the time you get your green card is a year later.
It's the difference between process your case before your visa number is ready, or process your case after your number is ready, and
it's recognizing the fact that it takes time to prepare this application. Yeah. Then USCIS did not like the idea. USCIS says, no, I'm not going to play along. Because we're not legally bound by your new date, State Department, which is the dates for filing. We're going to decide what to do. So the final action date and filing date has always been a consistent date that they've used at the embassies. And then at the USCIS, they have consistently stuck with the final action date, and apparently until the beginning of the fiscal year, which is October, they switched to the filing date, which is earlier, and allow for more filings to happen. So
that's you just made a prediction, Sam. I mean, that's a prediction for October 2020 that they're going to abide by dates for filing versus the final action date.
Yeah, so that's a date that we've done, and that's based on also the State Department's prediction.
He said it seemed pretty likely, though that's not his area, and it's what we've seen pretty much every year for the last couple of years.
The last few years, opening it between 1 month to 3 months. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the final action date prediction first.
Okay. And
then we're going to talk about the filing date prediction next.
Yeah. So
does that make sense?
Yeah. So once we talked about the dates for filing, dates for filing were important. When we talked about final action dates, that's important for people who already have cases pending. That's when am I going to get my green card? Dates for filing is really important for those who my priority date's getting close. That's what really matters to them.
And if USCIS adopt that date,
if USCIS adopts the date for filing,
then you'll jump on that date and get going. So. All right, so let's get started here. The final action date for third preference, India.
I have
commit, Brian. Tell me.
My quote-unquote best case scenario is May 2015.
You're waffling. Best and worst case scenario. Give me a number.
EB3 final action.
EB3 final action date.
I'm gonna give it May 2015.
India.
I'm gonna give it May 2015.
Okay. Wow. You're a lot more aggressive than me because I'm expecting it to be June 2014.
I don't think your guess is bad. I think my guess is a bit more aggressive.
Okay. So I'm thinking June.
Yes, he said.
Sure, it's aggressive. Good. Well, they should like your answer more than my answer.
What is the basis for your answer, Sam?
It is really, I worked it backward from. I worked on the.
I know what you're going to say, and I did the same thing.
Yeah, well, you gotta have a for this madness a recipe, right?
Yeah.
So I looked at the date for filing, and then I predicted the final action date based on a gap of 7 months. I don't think they're going to give it more than a 7 months gap because Charles Oppenheim said that they've received a lot more cases last year than anticipated in the EB3, which tells me that he's going to keep it tight. That's why they retrogressed it. So because of that, he's probably afraid the same thing is going to happen. So he's going to keep that gap. The tighter that gap, okay, the less applications he will get, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that it is not going to be as generous as you.
Well, I don't think my prediction of May 2015 for final action dates is that generous. So back in October 2020, when so many people got to file based upon dates of filing, the dates of filing EB3 was January 1st, 2015, right? And that meant, they thought in this year they were going to get EB3 final action dates up until January 1st, 2015. And we know that they're not going to get there because Charles Oppenheim said that for September, the EB3 final action date will be January 1st, 2014. So they're going to be a year behind in terms of what they predicted. So that being said, and it's a big. I'm talking about a year and a half movement on final action date, and I will concede this: that Charles Oppenheim said that there wouldn't be any big movements in Q1 of 2015.
He also said, look at September to predict October. So he may be giving you October in September, and not moving much in October. So we may know sooner than later. So your date is 2015 March, right? Or May.
I said May, and that's because it's essentially a couple months beyond what the dates of filing was back in October.
So for people that are listening, so they understand, if USCIS uses the date for filing, the final action date is irrelevant.
In terms of getting
yes.
filed.
And in terms of those who are filing, have filed and waiting for their green card, you're going to like Brian. You should like Brian's answer more than my answer because he's more optimistic that they're willing to review and approve visas a lot faster. So I'm looking right now at August 3rd preference. I'm seeing July 2013. So I moved it forward 1 year. And you moved it forward 2 years. And approximately.
Yeah.
And that's fine because you have a good reason for it because there is 150,000 green card that's going to hand out. So it is not crazy answer. It's very possible.
Yeah, exactly. They made it. They moved to put my whole point simply. They moved it to January 2015 based upon last year's dump.
Yeah. And
they approved a bunch of visas.
Yeah.
Meaning, why can't they just get it all the way to just a couple months more?
Yes. Okay. So to me, I believe that they're going to open the date for filing.
Most definitely.
Well, not most definitely. Most likely, yes. No, definitely in that business.
Most definitely agreeing with you. That's most likely.
Yes. So the EB3 India. Okay, let's talk about EB3 India date for filing. So that's the date that is, in our opinion, will be very important on when you're going to file your adjustment in October if you haven't filed one yet.
Well, that is it. If we agree, it's likely that they're going to abide by those dates of filing. It is the important date.
So what? So shall I give my date since you gave your date first?
Yeah.
Who gave the date first? Did I give my date for you? I gave my date
I feel
first.
like you made fun of my date as soon as I said it, so I'm going to poke fun at your wacky idea.
Okay, so did I give my date first, or you gave your date first?
I think I gave mine first.
All right, so I'll give mine first. So I believe that India date for filing is going to be June 2015. 6 months, a year, as a matter of fact, which is really generous. A year after, and that's probably too generous. One of them is maybe a little bit too generous. I'm not sure which one, but I would say mid-2015 is where I feel the date for filing will be for EB3 India.
Mid-2015?
June 2015.
June 2015? So I had myself marked down for Q4 2015, and we agreed that wasn't specific enough. So I'm going to put it in October of 2015.
Okay, so you're more optimistic than me.
Well,
he said not, we know it's not 2016.
Yeah, well, he said it's unlikely EB3 would get to 2016, and he definitely said EB2 is not getting there.
Yeah.
So basically,
I believe that my number is better than your number.
Well, I like my number. October with some space to grow into the end of the year. That's a date for filing. That's not where the final action date is going to be. That's good. That means what they think they can get to in the course of the year, and that's what Charles Oppenheim said. He thinks that,
right.
Yeah.
Yes, but last year they got a lot more than they expected. He's going to be conservative. He's going to be nervous about. He's always very nervous about India, and given the fact, and that his nervousness is reaffirmed by the large numbers in the EB3, as he stated, that was received last year, which he caused him to retrogress. So he's going to be conservative.
He does not like retrogression. They hate retrogression.
Yeah, everybody does. Yeah, I understand that.
Wow.
So I'm saying June 2015, October 2015.
We're not that far off. That's about 4 months.
Yeah. I mean, and nobody knows, even Charles doesn't know yet because he hasn't looked at the report. So nobody has a.
He's got to know. I guess no, he doesn't have to know until September. He's got a month and a half.
He did say that this next video stream that he's going to be doing might shed some light more on it because he would have one more meeting with the ombudsman at USCIS, and he is going to have better information. So we will hear and we will let you guys know if we have adjustments. But yes. It's 2015, mid to late 2015. It looks like there is at least that general agreement.
Yeah.
Trying to find common ground between my friend Brian and myself.
They can't not move it ahead. It's
150,000 green cards, and the allocation of the green cards and how it trickles down. They distribute the extra green cards to the EB1 first, and that's why I think EB1 is going to hit current, and then any unused. And there's the 28% for EB1, EB2, EB3 over the 150,000 allocation, and then there's 7% per country. And then after they apply this formula, then they flow it down to EB2, and which is that blows me away. And then it flows down to EB3, and then the EB4 goes down to EB5, and EB5 goes up to EB1, which is in a kind of a circular allocation. Obviously, I think the math is highly theoretical and not practical in terms of where really these need to go. But getting to the point,
I think there's probably good math out there behind it, but I think the data that they get is so wishy. I mean, we're talking about the data that Charles Oppenheim gets, and it's basically he doesn't seem to have visibility of the so many people that have pending EB3 I-140 downgrades.
He cannot because they're not approved.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes his job very this fun for us.
Impossible.
His job impossible. Yeah.
I mean, to be more accurate is very difficult. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So I like that. This is good stuff.
So all right. EB3 final action dates, and we had EB3 dates for filing, right?
Yes. Yeah. Shall we talk about EB2?
We should talk about EB2.
Poor EB2, completely. I mean, I remember everybody used to file an EB3, and then everybody abandoned EB3, and now it's just this.
I'm used to people being
musical chairs, man.
Oh, geez, I don't want to be an EB3. Then it's Yes, EB3, 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 and everybody who was sad, 10 years ago about being EB3 is just high-fiving one another because they're getting approved green cards. They're documentarily qualified.
Employees left companies because if you had, let's say, you're working with a bachelor's degree and you're working for a company for 7 or 8 years, this company may not be able to file an EB2 for you because it's experience gained with the same employer. And all these people change jobs and travel to another parts of the US to get other jobs so they can use their prior experience to get into EB2. And now, 6-7 years later, they're jumping back on EB3.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about second preference, India, final action date. Just a reminder for everybody, the final action date is the actual date. If you filed your application to watch for, that's the date they're handing out green cards.
Yeah.
The filing date is a date that is not obligatory on USCIS to accept cases, but we believe in October they will. And usually it's a more favorable date. The filing date or the date for filing is more favorable date and then the final action date. So with the final action date, second preference, last year in the Visa Bulletin, it was September 2009.
Yeah, yeah. The final action dates for EB2?
Final action, October 2020, was September 2009. Okay? That's the final action date.
Okay. All right. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
There's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And then just to kind of remind you, for October 2020, it was 2011, May 2011.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is going to be the final action date, second preference for India? You go first.
I had May 2013.
Oh, you are way ahead of me.
I know. I knew I was aggressive on this one. I'm an optimist, Sam.
Good. Yeah, you are an optimist. I am too, I think. But you're definitely. I like your prediction. I think there's a very positive.
Logic is there was a great big dump of visas last year.
What's that date again?
May 2013.
May 2013.
I think I am being a bit aggressive on this one, but I think it's within the realm of possibility.
Final action date EB2 India, May 2013.
I must rescind. Sorry. That's my preview. That's my dates for filing. I had September 2012 for EB2 final action.
Oh wow, we're agreeing then.
Oh yes, we are agreeing. I do.
Okay. Yeah. So you have September 2012. 12.
Yes.
Excellent. For final action date, second preference. This stuff can be confusing. Yeah. And the final action date is the legal date in which green cards will be available. So if you filed your cases, this is the date you want to watch out. So we're expecting that to move an aggressive movement to September 2012 in October of 2020.
Agreed.
Okay, we're in agreement.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same. I did the same analysis as you. Essentially, I was looking back at what happened. You know, what kind of differential was there from September to October 2020, and that's the sort of visa jump we're going to get.
Yes.
So curiously, we will move on to then. That's going to be EB2 date for filing.
Date for filing, which is
I've already spilled my beans on that one.
It's okay. We're going to forget about it. Let you take another shot at it.
Right.
So date for filing is the date most likely you would be able to file your adjustment of status in October if our prediction is correct. There's two predictions being made here, that USCIS will be adopting the date for filing. That's the first prediction. And then the second prediction is the date in the Visa Bulletin, hopefully to be favorable for you.
Dates for filing aren't really helpful to anybody unless USCIS abides by them, aside from maybe a insight as to how far the Visa Bulletin might move forward.
Yes. 150,000 unused green cards passed along from family immigration last year because of the pandemic and because Trump's travel ban and green card issuance ban passed on to the employment immigration for the following year, revised downward, was initially estimated to be 160,000. Now it's estimated to be 150,000. And based on the calculations and the fact that the EB2 India is the oldest or the most retrogressed or backed up visa availability in the whole entire employment based green card, other than China other workers, which is not going to be relevant to us, we may be getting 100,000 green cards for India available to be used. And my date, I'll give you my date for EB2 is March 2013.
I went a little bit further ahead. I have the beans I spilled, May 2013.
Okay, not far off.
Yeah.
Okay, May 2000. Okay. All right. Again, the reason I'm conservative is because listening to State Department, Charles, he's nervous. Yeah, he's nervous about moving it too much.
He doesn't want to the guy who's head.
He doesn't want to retrogress.
Yeah.
But he has 150,000 visas to use. He has to move them.
I mean, I would be happy with it. I don't think retrogression is such a terrible thing. Why? It's called, oops, he went too far ahead, and USCIS let you guys file cases. Not too shabby.
But that's retrogressing. That explained that he's going to be more careful this year. Yeah. And again, if by October there's more I-140 approved, right, for India, you could be more correct.
I-140 EB3 is approved, meaning EB2.
Opening up more EB2s.
And I think it has to happen, Sam. Every time we've had a conversation about this, I'm left thinking, gee, when's those EB2s going to catch up?
Yes.
It has to happen, I think.
Good. All right. Fantastic. So these are our predictions. Sounds good. Let's talk about what really is the benefit for any of that stuff.
Well, yeah, it's who does this information impact, and what does it mean? I think that's where we're going to get a lot of questions. So please,
let's talk about the wastage.
Give us questions.
Let's talk about the wastage. So there's a lot of things about the wastage that we can talk about that is important. Number one, they're saying they're going to waste.
Was it 100,000?
This year, 100,000.
Yeah, to be probably adjusted. I've been thinking about that as well. I can't help but think, USCIS might try at the end of the fiscal year to push some of these cases out, just do what they can and just go on a reckless approval spree.
They've done that before.
Yeah, they can do it.
There's a new USCIS director appointed.
They finally got one in?
Last week. Congratulations. She is of a Mexican Iraqi descent. And she has been involved with immigration. She's an attorney. She was involved with the Obama administration. I think her name is Mendoza Jado or something. And I think she is come from an immigrant background. So I think we're going to have...
Opposed to an anti-immigration background. Yeah.
Yes, and she's qualified and was approved by Congress, which is the Trump administration could not get that done. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be positive movement.
Yeah, that was kind of on my list of X factors to talk about. USCIS, they could get their act together and start approving some more of these cases, and that could throw a wrench in all of our predictions thus far.
Yes.
There's also the.
So what's the wastage?
The wastage, well.
So the wastage will affect the visa availability. And that's why I pulled it back a little bit. If, in fact, they've wasted 100,000, all these adjustments filed this year are going to count next year against the 150,000.
Yeah, that's the number one thing I was thinking about. It's,
So if they wasted 100 or 90,000, okay? So there is only 60,000 green cards available next year.
Yeah.
And once you allocate it to all the other countries, maybe only 20 or 30,000 will be available for India.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same way. Essentially, if you waste most of the green cards that were the shiny new, never expected to be available but they were due to COVID, if you waste those, the ones that come in this year are going to be allocated to the people who didn't get them last year, who have pending cases now. Yeah.
Which means it's not going to move as much.
Which
means my numbers are more likely than your numbers.
My numbers took into account that fact as well, and I just don't. I think. Well, there's other things to talk about too. I did take this into account. I was thinking. There's people out there talking, Sam. Everybody's going to become current in October. That was a talk just a month or two ago.
That's a pipe dream, it was. just the scenario in 2007 that made everything current was a tension between the State Department and and the USCIS, and also it was a situation where the State Department was not able to make good predictions, so they made everything current to be on the safe side because they do not want to get into a situation where they're not allocating enough visas. The circumstances here is 180-degree opposite, in that this wastage is caused by the State Department by their inability to process visas abroad.
Yeah, not malicious malintent.
No, nobody is.
COVID-19 has COVID-19 has Department of State, they can't issue anything at all, and COVID-19 has USCIS. Well, that creates a big swamp upon USCIS, and there's all the people who want a green card and they can't get them.
So the State Department handed USCIS 100,000 green cards to handle on a short notice, and they are in a mess to begin with.
I don't blame them from that. I mean,
so they're not going to make everything current. They're going to work with them as much as possible, right? They're going to be very cooperative.
Yeah.
What to do with this information?
What does it mean for all? And first of all, how about the folks who haven't filed I-45 yet?
Yes, tell me about those.
So, well, one, visa wastage doesn't mean that you're never going to get your green card. I like to think these big things.
You're just going to get your green card 10 years later.
No, well.
Again, you're the ultimate optimist. This is very, very frustrating thing. I mean, those guys. No, what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, it's frustrating. I mean, 10,000 visas are handed out a year. All of a sudden, you wake up one day and you got 100,000 visas. And they're going to say, oh, well, we just too much. We can't process it. We're going to waste them.
Well, I'm all for, even if it's a couple hundred extra visas, Sam, I know that, every person who gets an unexpected immigrant visa number, that's one less person in line in front of the guy who just got his I-140 approved a week ago. You're
looking at the 1 inch of the cup that's full, and I'm looking at the 9 inches of the cup that's empty. It is frustrating, and it's really, it's ridiculous. Frustrating. I mean, there has to be, Congress cannot get their act together to do anything. There has to be a quick mandate to protect these visas and get things going. Nobody's interested.
Well, I keep on thinking to bring this up. There's an amendment to the USCIS fiscal year 2022 budget that addresses this. That's been talk. The chat with Charles Oppenheimer was the subject. That is that bill about recapturing those unused visas.
I'm unimpressed. Why?
What's not passed?
Well, no. What does it do? It does not.
It throws them right back into the categories of where they are lost.
It gives them back to the family.
Yeah.
It doesn't give them to the employment. And obviously, with Congress, they can do anything they want. Sure. So there's nothing, unless it's unconstitutional, and there's nothing unconstitutional about Congress saying we're going to hand those back to the family. I don't think there's anybody talking about handing it back to employment. Yeah. There's no discussion.
If you read all the rhetoric surrounding this, it's, hey, give back those diversity visa approvals and those family-based immigration approvals to the people who didn't get to use them because of the consequences.
What about the employment-based? Let them go.
I read the amendment, and they're included in there, but there's not going to be any extra visas for them because USCIS is going to allocate their usual allocation.
But there is some positive, and let's talk about the positive. The positive is that you get your adjustment status filed.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, that's I'm happy for Charles Oppenheim to make some mistakes and predict way too far on the dates for filing. That's more people. Again, you're not changing your place in line is your place in line. So again, Mr. Optimism says, if I'm in that line, I'm happy that every person for every person in front of me gets a green card.
Some of those guys who are sitting listening to you, have had their green card pending for a decade.
I talk to them all the time.
And now they're told, you know what? You may wait another 4 or 5 years. It may take 15 years.
Yeah. Okay, I can be angry, Brian, as well. Nuts to the government. Nuts to the government. Approve the green cards. Don't issue silly RFEs. Don't.
What a waste of time. Faster if they want to. When we file those October cases, they will take the case which, by the way, had this silly I-944 form with the ridiculous amount of exhibits.
I mean, they got rid of that pretty much as soon as the new administration took over. But how much time did they waste on processing those things for people?
They grabbed the case.
See, I'm angry, Sam.
I am, yeah, thank you. They grab the case, okay?
Oh, yeah.
They take the fee, they put the check aside, right?
Mhm.
They review 400 pages for free. They don't want any money. They're just looking for a reason to reject your case.
They weren't taking cases, accepting them, receiving them until somebody had read to make sure every little bit was there. And that's not how they.
And then they rejected it, and they send the money back. They're bankrupt. They don't have any money. They wasted their money. They don't want to take any money.
I mean, don't get me started. I mean, Sam, how long did it take us to get receipts for the October 2020 months? December, January, February. We're still getting them in February, March, right? And this is people working in their warehouse, taking in their mailroom, taking these things in. They couldn't have possibly. They're the federal government. They couldn't have possibly just considered maybe hiring on a couple more people to take care of that massive load. Nope, they didn't.
Issue the darn thing. Issue the receipt notice. Don't look at the case. Cash that checks and work with people.
I mean,
work with people.
The counter narrative to optimistic Brian is they're screwing with people's lives. And I talked to enough people about this. It's essentially, people are left in limbo for a decade. I don't feel comfortable buying a house in a country where I can't know that I'm going to live. I've started a family.
Especially kids, U.S. citizen children. But there are positive things. Now Brian is angry, and I got to calm.
You wanted me to get angry.
I got to calm you down.
Diddly darn, Sam, you've gotten it.
All right, so let's calm you down. Okay, what's the positives?
I'm back to what optimistic Brian says. More, the COVID-19 silver lining is there's more green cards filtering down to the employment-based categories.
And also a very large number will further adjustment, thus really guaranteeing a safety protection from this crazy H-1B.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the H-1Bs are a lot less crazy now. I mean, that's off the top of,
Oh, but they're changing. They're going to be changing. I mean, the Biden administration is defending the lawsuit that was filed on prioritizing. Obviously, those guys are not H-1B cap cases, but prioritizing higher paid individuals.
Oh yeah.
I am worried. Site visitations.
I can't help but think they're going to start regulating issuing new regulations.
But once you get your adjustment, there's so many opportunity for you. And again, I repeat, I talked about it last time. You got to look at the self-employment opportunities. And Brian is telling me there's a lot of questions that we need to answer.
I was telling you with the movements of my hand and the checking of the questions with the
all right, let's get question. Let's get question. Okay, sounds good. So all right, so what do you do with this information? We'll take some questions.
Yeah.
All right. Hey Sam, I had a priority date of January 2013 in EB2, but my I-140 petition was denied. Ouch. Later I filed EB3 petition with a priority date of January 2015. I heard that the earlier priority date could be ported. No, it cannot if the I-140 is denied. Brian, you want to elaborate on that?
I can come. Generally, no. I'm always Mr. Brian with the wacky scenario.
Well, give me a wacky scenario for that one.
Wacky scenario. So that I-140 in EB2 was filed, meaning the labor certification underlying it is still good. In theory, you could revive that labor certification by going back to whoever filed it and filing a new I-140. I don't know why that I-140 was denied. Who knows? But it could be, a technical error that could be resolved by reviving that I-140, and then suddenly you would have that older priority date. So many layers in that.
Right, but obviously, I mean, excellent. By the way, excellent answer. Excellent answer.
Very good attorney answer.
Yeah.
The practical answer is no.
Yeah, but no, it's excellent answer, and that's something that people need to know, not to give up on the old case, but bringing the scenario to earth. Unless it's filed with the same employer, most likely, very difficult to do that.
Who has an interest? Yeah.
But if it's the same employer, it's absolutely on the table.
Yeah.
I heard that the earlier part it could be ported. Well, you got to get that I-140 approved.
I'm living in the could territory,
yes.
But that could is a very narrow could.
Yeah. Yes. All right. So I like the answer and I like the question. Those are excellent.
Yeah.
Could you let me know if that's possible? How can I do it? Well, I think we just did, Raul. If you are working for the same employer, it's revisiting the denial of the I-140. Obviously, if you could not overcome the reasons for the denial, it's very difficult. But if there is a basis for it, you need to have somebody with a out-of-the-box look at it, like Mr. Brian here, look at it for you. Maybe you should call him for a consultation and look at the I-140 if there's a possibility. If the denial is for, let's say, 3-year bachelor's, I mean, any of those things could be overcome with careful analysis potentially.
Yeah, I mean, you could be dealing with an employer who just said, it's not worth our time. But there could be a reason why you moved on to the.
If the same employer and he's been working for the same time, and Rahul is an excellent employee, they will do anything for him. Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Well, we have a little bit of commentary here from Prash Nihar, and that's 150K spillover is not confirmed based on the House Appropriations bill, right? It's confirmed that the bill is dead. So I haven't heard anything about the.
So there's crisscrossing the language here. So the 150,000 spillover is confirmed. Well, nothing. There's no law. Congress has to pass any law for the 150,000 spillover. That is a calculation in the law. Any unused family-based immigration cases are spilled over to the following year into the employment-based category. That's the law. So there's nothing has to be passed for that to happen. The other discussion item is, I think you were referring to, is whether or not the USCIS's proposed bill is going to go anywhere. As with 98% of proposed bills, they don't go anywhere. But,
yeah, I mean, when people ask me about what do you hear about this new law, Brian, I say, has it been passed yet? And the answer on any sort of bill is, all it takes is both houses of Congress and the president to agree on something. You know?
Right. Yeah, that may never happen. Yeah. Correct. But that does not resolve the wastage. So let's assume Congress does not pass this law. If USCIS cannot get to the 100,000, we've lost 100,000.
Yeah.
Or hopefully there will be another bill that's more favorable.
Just because one bill's dead. I mean, nobody wanted to comment. Plus, I mean, that bill, who knows if that's, it could be this, bills go through revisions and suddenly you have an entirely different, potential law.
Yes.
It's worth bringing up, but it's not worth over analyzing until it's on the president's desk and he signed it.
Yeah. Srinivas Raumari. My final action date for my EB3 downgrade is currently August. Okay.
Current in August.
It's current in August. I see. My I-140 is approved. Medical submitted. AD received. When can I expect my green card? This year, before October, or next year? Whenever they get to it. I mean, I got a phone call yesterday from a gentleman like 8 months behind. I think
8 months current.
Yeah.
8
months current.
Yeah. And that doesn't sound crazy to me. They are swamped.
Yes.
They have more than they expected. This is unprecedented times.
Yes.
You are really at the mercy of when your case is lucky enough to be picked up by the little gnomes that translate the USCIS officer's desk.
Is it likely this year? Possibly. It's taking 6 to 7 months to get to it. I think 8 months is too fast. We're seeing cases approved a lot quicker.
Yeah, we are starting to. I mean, a couple of months back, I was just very down in the dumps saying, I'm not seeing any green card approvals. I mean,
and now boom, boom, boom.
We're sending out. Just today, we were signing off on cards welcoming families to permanent residence in the United States.
Yes.
So it's
wonderful.
It's a good thing. We're getting there.
Yeah, there is improvement. Yes.
I'm going to read this one. So my priority date is December 2025. I'm not quite sure that number's right. And currently in EB2. It seems EB3 is moving fast right now. Is it a good idea to downgrade from EB2 to EB3?
Let's hold that question. Ananth is going to send us another message giving us the correct date so we can give him a good answer. Here it is. 2015. We see it. Yes. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Thank you. Go ahead, Brian.
My priority date is December 2015, much more realistic number.
Okay.
Currently in EB2, it seems EB3 is moving faster. Is it a good idea to downgrade from EB2 to EB3?
100%. 100% yes.
You have to elaborate on that, Sam.
Well, number one, I would file the I-140 right now. Okay?
Yes.
You predicted, I'm going back to my prediction sheet, that is going to be, I don't have your date. Your date is September?
Well, you know, Charles Oppenheim said that, the EB3, it wouldn't get EB3 wouldn't get into 2016, but it might get. That means it could get in December 2015. So it would be good to have an EB3 I-140 approval. Agreed?
Yes. So what's your final action date? Let's go back to your prediction here to see if we can answer that question.
My EB3 final action date for October.
EB2.
EB2. That's not getting there. You're getting there for EB2.
Mine is September 2012 for final action date.
I have September 2012. Yeah.
Yes, the same date, and then I have 2013.
Yeah, I had 5/2013. You had March 2013.
So he's 2015.
Yeah, but if he were in the EB3 category, if he downgraded,
his question is downgrading a good idea? Is EB3 moving is faster? The answer is yes.
Moving is a different question, but is it further ahead? Yes.
Is it faster to file?
It doesn't hurt you to have an EB2 and an EB3 I-140 approval. If your employer's down for it, heck yes. And that means, whichever date becomes current, you're ready to go to file an adjustment of status.
What's your EB3 projection for
dates for filing for October?
For India, yeah.
Dates of filing for October. I had, like October 2015.
So he's December 2015. Is this your hesitation? Is because he may be outside your projected date?
Charles Oppenheim said EB3 wouldn't get to 2016, which means it could get to the end of 2015.
Yes. So does he downgrade or he wait?
The challenge is downgrade now because it takes a while.
What do you advise him to do? Wait or take action?
Take action.
Take action. What is the action?
File an EB3 downgrade.
So file an I-140 in the EB3 downgrade.
Yes.
Only and wait.
Yes.
And then come October,
make
a decision based on what you see.
Well, come October. October you might not be able to make a decision, but you know that you have an EB2 and EB3 option. And if you file now, October's not that far away. Maybe it doesn't make that much of a difference.
The EB2 has zero chance or near zero chance of filing in October.
Yeah.
The EB3 has some chance of filing in October.
Yeah.
So downgrading right now increases your chances of filing in October, which is a wonderful thing if you can make it happen.
Or October or November, December.
These days not going to move much.
Yeah, he said no significant movement in Q1.
Yeah. So yes, moving to EB3, if you can get into filing an adjustment of status, I don't care what category.
Yeah, even if you're the last guy in line, if you're the last current priority date, you're still the guy with a pending adjustment of status. And that's awesome. It
gives you this protection. It gives you all these options. It's wonderful. So absolutely yes, downgrade if you can, 100%.
Yeah, that's going back to with our sort of presentation formal. That's what this information tells you. That's what predictions tell you. It's know when you can file an adjustment of status, know when you can expect to file, know to prepare for it, get ready for your actual filing.
Yes. So in our philosophy is we would like, and hopefully we're able to get all the questions. We would like to take the time to analyze every question as much as possible. And that's why you want to subscribe to our channel so you can get our notes. We're doing this every week. And we don't want to give a 1 or 2 sentence answer to every case. We want to beat it up. We want to disagree.
I'm incapable of a 2-sentence answer.
Yes. And we want to give you a kind of an analysis. Our philosophy is trying to give an analysis in the 2 brains. And we would like to sometime agree or disagree. Hopefully that's helpful.
Get in a fight, yeah.
Yes. But don't forget to subscribe so you can get to our every Monday presentation.
Yeah, we hit some pretty good topics.
Yes. All right. So do you want to talk about what advantages? Do you file early? Do you prepare adjustment early? Is that something we want to discuss?
It's worth bringing up. So the bottom line is, why would you bring any of that up at all? There's going to be we expect some sort of movement in ability to file in October, right? Right.
So clearly, if I am going to take your dates and my dates, if your priority, I don't care if it's EB2 or EB3 because you can downgrade, and I'm going to adopt the date for filing.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I am going to say mid-2015 priority date
Well, that's new territory. That's new
Get
territory.
ready.
Yeah.
Get ready to get your case filed in October. And if your attorney or your firm, or there's flexibility to get started earlier to prepare your documents such that you're ready to go in October, that's not a bad idea. Even file your I-140 early, that's not a bad idea. So engage in that conversation on getting your case started, because if there's an aggressive movement and if Brian's dates are correct and my dates are not, meaning that there are more cases in every attorney's office, the more cases we file, the less attention we can give you in October. Let's face it, we're
human beings.
We're human beings, and it's a number game. It's simple. And we need to sleep at least 4 hours a night, right? So getting your case, what advantages would you have if you get your case prepped early?
You know, we're going to always try our best to point out issues with, you know, birth certificates, that sort of thing. They're a common issue sort of RFEs. If you have a
minor criminal infractions, get it resolved.
Get out in front of it. Let you know. You need to get court documents, court records if you have something, you know, that raises above the, you know, speeding ticket level. So there's that. Give you time to take care of that, and just, I don't know, time.
Resolving immigration violations.
Yeah, immigration violations. What's a great way to do that, Sam? Hard to do right now, but.
Oh, the best way is to leave and re-enter if you have a visa. Obviously, because they look at as of the last entry, and then you get 180 days of forgiveness under certain circumstances as of your last entry. So if you've been here for 10 years, haven't left the U.S., we're going to have to look at 10 years of immigration history. If you've been here for 3 years, we have to look at 3 years. So the chances of finding violations in a shorter time is a lot less than violations.
I have to go to my, you know, this has happened to me at like 5 different interviews. It's, Brian, I'm a shoo-in for my green card. I haven't left the country for 10 years.
Yeah.
And you give them 10 years of things to look back upon.
Yeah, paycheck stubs, you know,
were you paid properly? Gaps in your I-94 history. Any accidental days of unauthorized employment. Right. And it's a pretty rare scenario, but I know you've told me tales of, you know, times when USCIS, you know, they have somebody at 179 days of unemployment, and they're looking for one last day to deny a green card.
2 more.
2 more?
You got to get 181.
Well, 180, yeah, more than 180 days. So INA 245 case scenario.
Yeah. Well, our next question.
Yes, sir.
Take that one, Brian.
Sure. From Ramya, I received my EAD in mid-April, but the I-485 status displays fingerprint fee received, and my biometric not applied to I-485.
Common, very common.
Yeah. But the first thing I'll say, and this question continues, is I don't think that online tracking from USCIS is a super reliable way to get an idea what's going on in your case.
Yes.
Broad strokes, perhaps.
Yes.
What could be the reason? I didn't submit my medicals with the initial application. My priority date's January 2013. Will I get my green card?
Well, you gotta get your medicals.
Yeah. There is that. I'm going to choose to answer that last question. Will I get my green card? Yes, eventually. You know, look when your priority date is January 2013. Our final action dates now for August.
July 1st, 2013.
July 1st, 2013. I mean, that's is that an EB2 or an EB3?
I'm assuming downgrade.
Yeah, probably EB3. So your priority date's current, and we talked about this earlier. It's
7 months now.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a backlog, and there are tons of people out there that we talk to them all the time. It's your priority date's current, but your case is not approved yet, and there are so many people in that same spot. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
You know, it's, Brian, I've been in this process for this long, and they're telling me my date's current, and they're not approving the case. Yeah, it's not fun.
And you just need to just basically do the service request and be patient. There's so many people. There's just so many available visas and so many few people to process them.
Next question?
Yeah.
This one's for you, Sam, I think.
Okay. For downgrade application with I-140 approved is still pending, and if the dates get current for final action date, will USCIS process the I-485? The USCIS will grab the I-485 case and approve it with the I-140 to look at them together.
Yeah,
in a situation like that.
But
getting to it, obviously, they're so far behind in getting to those cases. So if it becomes current today, the previous person was 6 months behind.
They can't. They have to approve your I-140 to approve the I-45, and definitely they can do it at the same time. Happens
can they get to it?
More common.
Yeah, can they get to it? Is the question.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm a USCIS officer. I look at 2 cases. I see this guy just needs me to rubber stamp his I-45. This one requires me to adjudicate an I-140. You know.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's if they open the file one time, is better than opening the file twice. So that sounds like a time savings for them to do it.
There you go. They're a bit of a black box though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very possible to open your case and adjudicate it. Yes.
Yeah.
But they will not approve an I-485 if the I-140 is still pending.
Yeah, that is a roadblock between you and approval.
Yes, and therefore maybe premium processing upgrade may become relevant in this scenario.
Yeah. So this one's from Raj. I've upgraded my EB3 I-140 premium, downgrade in October 20 from EB2 2 weeks ago, but no response from USCIS. What are my next steps? So, pretty common scenario. If they haven't issued a receipt, an email or a receipt notice for your premium processing upgrade, expect for your attorney to get a package in the mail from USCIS, which will be the return of your I-907, the premium processing form, and your checks.
File it again in 30 days, 40 days?
Yeah, essentially, they have to have gone into their files and found a copy of your labor certification, the original labor certification, in order to accept a premium processing request on your downgrade. And if they haven't done it yet, they will send you a letter that says, we haven't done that yet. Send us your premium processing request again later.
Yes.
So next step is just wait until that comes back and spend a little bit of time waiting, and we'll get to it eventually.
Yep.
And that's the same question there.
Do you expect any movement in EB2 India final action date in September bulletin? Well, yes, I think there is going to be a movement. And I think there's a hint that the movement, I think we were talking about that right before the presentation, Brian. We think is going to be close to October. The September and October dates going to be close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, we listened to the chats with Charlie, and he said, look to September as a prediction for October. So
what does that mean exactly? I mean, sometimes he doesn't clarify things.
Well, that's kind of what's getting to me. It's if there's a new drop of visas, obviously there's a whole bunch of ways it's going to happen. But if there's still going to be, they've approved a bunch of cases, and then they're going to drop some more, you'd think, there'd be some sort of, I would hope for the benefit of our audience, that there's going to be a little bit of a push forward. And we both think there's going to be some sort of push forward on EB2 and EB3. We're planning to file new green cards in October, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right. But I think if you're mid-October, I think it's safe to kind of get ready for it. But movement in September, honestly, for me, I'm beyond September mentally. I'm into October because it's the beginning of a new fiscal year, and that's where really the big jump will be.
Don't expect excitement.
Normally, in September, there's retrogression. So normally, under normal circumstances, they move the dates back in September.
They realize that they've run out of visas for the year.
Yes.
August and September are the prime months for that, I think he says. Right?
Yes. And so for me, I'm kind of mentally now focused on October. But what's going to happen in September, we'll see. All right.
Well, this is a great.
Do you expect any retrogression in EB2? Sorry, I joined late. No, we don't expect retrogression.
Yeah, Charles Oppenheim is paranoid about it, and he hasn't said anything that he would suspect it. So he's trying to avoid it dearly.
That's why he's not moving it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you say the more optimistic Brians of the world their dates are a little bit more aggressive, but I
don't think there will be no retrogression in our opinion. Absolutely not, and we don't believe so.
Okay, and let's see here. So how much time do the attorneys need to prepare a case and downgrade?
Great question.
I know, that's great.
That's a great question. It's a function of how many cases we have in the office.
Yes.
If I got nothing to do today, it's a breeze. Yeah. But if I have 600 cases in my office, it'll take time. Yeah. So it is a sliding scale, and we're encouraging people to kind of get started early if they can with your attorney to kind of maybe get at least the exhibits put together, organized, So things like that we have entertained with some clients, and that has been beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, last October was a huge undertaking. That required just a lot of people just zeroing in on getting massive amounts of documents printed, forms drafted, and it takes some serious work.
Right. The office ran, the 12 hours? 2 shifts. We run 2 shifts, 8 until midnight.
Yeah, I basically worked every day of October, October 2020.
Right. Yeah. We don't think it's going to happen that crazy this year, but there will be a lot of cases.
I mean, everything we've talked about this evening is relevant to us because there's an office here that we have to run and we have to predict our workloads, and these dates are relevant to us as well because we have to prepare for being ready to go. For that.
Yes. So time is running out. We'll take a couple more questions.
Sure. I love taking questions, so I'm going to hit as many as we can.
Yep. Let's do it.
So Vishnu G, a new I-45 and EB2 straight. Can we only submit the I-45 application without the EAD application if my EB2 final action dates are current? The first I-45 was under EB2 to EB3 downgrade.
Yes.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
And you can do it without EAD and advanced parole, absolutely no problem.
Yeah. I mean,
makes sense to do it that way.
Those forms aren't that complicated. I mean, but
you can do it later.
Yeah, you can always do it later.
But they're for free, and usually we don't charge an extra attorney fees. All they have to do is just bring pictures.
Yeah.
And there's no USCIS fees involved, so why not? But yeah, there's no harm done if you don't use it.
Yeah, but you can use it, and they don't mind giving you a second EAD AP.
No, they don't. Yeah.
Keep on going.
Still waiting on EAD. Biometrics done in May 19th. Current in August bulletin. Will I get my green card? Well, we're looking at 6 to 7 months backlog for some people, and we're getting on faster approval for others. So congratulations. Looks like you're close, which is fantastic, Suba, or Shuba, I should say. But
I mean,
do you have your medical? Do they have your medical? I would be curious to know.
I mean, I'm kind of bummed at the timeline here. Biometrics done on May 19th. That means, November, December, January, February, March, April. That means it took 6 months just to get a biometrics notice out there.
Obviously they were shut down.
Yeah.
There were 1 million biometrics behind.
Yeah.
1 million.
Yeah.
So but you got it done, and hopefully they have the medical.
I guess I'll point out that you can get your green card without that EAD ever having been approved. So that's something you can keep them. If you gave the medicals, they could pick up your case and find that you're documentarily complete, and maybe if you're in your current and August Visa Bulletin.
Boom.
It's possible.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
My priority date is August 2017, EB2. Considering the time it takes for the I-140 approval, can I go ahead and downgrade to EB3 and file I-485 once the priority date becomes current? Well, 2017 is a long way, but would you want to upgrade your I-140, downgrade an I-140 right now? I wouldn't. Too early.
I don't see.
There's no harm done, but
you can feel good knowing you have an I-140, EB2, and EB3 approved, but that priority, we both agree, that priority date.
It's a couple years out.
Yeah, it's a couple years out.
In the best case scenario.
Yeah, he said for the foreseeable future, which I guess is really the next fiscal year, that EB3 wasn't even going to make it to 2016.
He said EB2 will not.
EB3 will likely not.
And unlikely for the EB3. Yeah.
So.
Right.
If you pick a time, it doesn't hurt to pick a time to do it.
And that's why I'm telling you.
October 2020 is not the time when this person needs to do it, because there's going to be about 1,000 other people filing at the same time. Your I-140 is going to move extraordinarily slow.
And that's why I'm telling you that my mid-2014 for EB3 for final action date is more accurate.
I think that's where I think there's a very good chance. I think your prediction is good, but I don't think mine is flawed. If there's more visas available, they thought they could get to January 2015 back in last October. Why can't they get just a little bit beyond that in October?
Sure.
But I'm going to keep on hitting the question train here, Sam.
My priority date is November 2010, and I'm a consultant. My I-140 approval in 2015. I received my EAD on May 2010, 2021. I have filed my I-45. I received my EAD.
There's more question here. Here it comes.
I'm not in a project currently, but will soon get into one. My employer told me he might not guarantee holding I-140. Will there be an impact? Well, there are some concerns. So obviously, I'll be more interested in knowing when you say I am not on a project, whether you're getting paid or not. And obviously, he cannot hold your I-140. Has it been 180 days? So I would recommend it. Go back to the previous one and get some facts again. So I would definitely recommend premium processing. I'm fully approved.
Yeah, how do you have a
he just filed. I think he may have a typo. He received EAD on 2021. He must have filed an I-485.
Yeah, I filed my I-45 and received my EAD.
Yeah,
I mean, approval seems imminent.
So prior to prior to 2010, I-140 2015, filed an adjustment in October probably, got his EAD. So I-485, has it been 6 months?
Yeah.
So if he withdraws the I-140, there's no problem. It's beyond 180 days.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
But I-485, it'll be probably I-485 will be denied. So you need to go over 180 days on the I-485. So which is October, November, December. You are beyond that most likely. So if you're beyond I-480, 180 days on I-485, you can move. You can take your adjustment and your I-140 and pick up and go somewhere else.
Same or similar occupation.
Same or similar occupation, supplement J. Your employer can withdraw the I-140. You say no problem. You own your green card process after 180 days of the I-485 filing. So sounds like you have options.
Yeah, it's really, you have to make sure that there's somebody else willing to offer you.
Have an attorney look at all those dates for you to make sure that what are your options, so you're not acting on just a conversation over the over YouTube or Facebook, whatever you're listening through, because we haven't seen any documents. We only give you a brief answer on what we would do, not what you should do. An attorney looking at your case should tell you what you should do. Would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it goes without saying, you know, we don't have a professional relationship with anybody who's out there, you know.
We might, some of our clients, I'm sure, are enjoying listening to it.
This is true.
But do not. I mean, this is just general advice. You gotta talk to a professional and make your your answer.
Even waiting on a green card for 10 years, don't play around with it when you're at the finish line.
Yes. All right. Let's go to the next one here. All right.
Okay, we see that the NBC, National Benefits Center, is processing very fast when compared to Nebraska Service Center and Texas Service Center. Why are these very slow? Did you see any I-45 approvals for downgrade EB3?
Well, the answer to the last question is yes, we have.
Yeah.
But not many without I-140 premium processing upgrade. And in terms of the various processing time and reviews, it's a matter of the location and the COVID situation, and it's a very local from one place to the other.
Yeah, I mean, they're not. Angry Brian came out earlier, but I don't think the government is, malicious in this. I think they're just
struggling. Yeah, struggling. Well, we obviously are coming out of also a very disorganized 4 years.
Yeah, where they're very happy to let an immigration-centric agency
was not an immigration-friendly administration. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And now we're dealing with a new administration. We just got a USCIS director last week, so we should be able to have some direction. A director provides direction, right?
Yeah. So
we're looking forward to it. All right. Call USCIS to find out about my I-485 application filed in October 2020 under EB2 to EB3 downgrade. Agent says my file was transferred to Texas Service Center from Nebraska Service Center. Is it okay? It's a workload related most of the time, shifting of files.
Yeah, they move them around, and honestly, I'm happy that somebody's touching my case at all. Better than, oh no, we got it back in October and we haven't touched it since then.
Yes.
Yes. I try not to look too deeply into the movements of files of the USCIS, but it
is what it is. But nothing to be alarmed about. No red flag on the case. It's extremely common to move files
There's
around.
been, they've released policy statements saying we're moving cases around so we can better process them.
Yes.
So.
Next question. Can we downgrade now? Whoa, I got to remember Ananth. Do you remember Ananth? Let's go back to Ananth.
See if we can see Ananth. Ananth. Oh, there we are. One of the early ones.
My priority date is December 2015, currently in EB2. It seems EB3 is moving faster. Is it a good idea to downgrade for EB2 to EB3? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean,
if you become current,
you can downgrade at any time. Somebody who got their I-140 approved EB2 yesterday can come right now and file an I-140 EB3. It's USCIS is happy to take your money or the employer's money.
It's an excellent point. There is never any harm filing an I-140 in EB3 whatsoever, as long as you file a new I-140, not an amendment, which nobody's doing anymore. So there's two ways to file it. One is a new I-140, and one is an amendment. You don't want to file an amendment. You want to file a new I-140. Once approved, you have both options. EB3, to file an adjustment under EB3, or to file an adjustment under EB2. If EB2 moves and your priority date looks good, you can file under EB2 and forget about the I-140 that you have filed under EB3. If the EB3 looks good, you can definitely take advantage of it. So there is no harm in filing a new I-140. But I hesitate to recommend it when sometime, not necessarily in this case, when you're paying extra attorney fees, potentially filing fees, and you're not likely to benefit. But there's no harm whatsoever.
Yeah, hit up a couple more of these things here. Well, quite a question upcoming about an H-4 dependent visa. Sam, will we allow a question about an H-4 dependent visa?
Why not?
Okay, all right. Thanks, boss.
Yes. From Danu V. Filed an extension on April 2020, biometrics collected on February 2021. It's been more than 14 months to update on H-4 dependent visa. Reached out USCIS, they haven't responded yet, 30 days. What a mess. We have seen that, but there has been some improvement. Obviously, litigation has been also difficult. USCIS is fighting them. Although we keep filing some of those H-4 litigation cases. You can go to a congressman. You can go to the ombudsman.
Yeah.
You can do a million things that everybody's doing, and some of those cases work. Many don't work.
The scary thing is, I think that might be within normal processing times for a H-4 at this point.
There's nothing. I don't care about what they publish. Yeah. 14 months is not a normal processing time.
Oh no, it's enough to make me. Sam, you want to talk about what makes me angry? Talk about the H-4 EAD processing times. The earliest you can file one of these things is 6 months out. The H-4 EADs, and what's the processing time for an H-4 EAD?
8 months.
Yeah, it's like 6.5, 7 months right now. And the Congress said, okay, so you basically totally render the darn thing worthless because everybody just gets a.
And obviously, one of the things that they've done, which I think the Obama administration did that at the very end, they removed the mandate that they must adjudicate the EADs within 190 days.
Oh yeah, they
used to be
180 days, yeah.
90 days. There was a mandate to adjudicate.
Oh no, you're right. They moved it up to 180 days.
They removed it completely.
Yeah, well, it has.
They removed it completely because there was you could have sued on that.
Yeah.
They took that out in 2017, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there is other than create noise, call, go to your congressman, file an ombudsman complaint, potentially file a lawsuit. Those are the options. The more pain in the butt you can become, the more likely you're going to get attention. And it's unfortunate, but there's no magic bullet to this problem.
It is a David versus Super Goliath scenario. It's I want to see your H-4 process get approved too, but it's who am I to think I can beat the entire hulking United States government on this?
Throughout my dealings with USCIS, every time there is a new deficiency, and then you go to court and you file lawsuits, they work, and then they stop working. So now we're seeing them to be less effective. Now we'll file them. We have filed them. We have filed one, I think, last week. Some people are so frustrated, say, "I don't care. I'm suing." We had one where we've given counsel time, and then when we put pressure on them. The case turned around, approved, which kind of said, maybe we shouldn't be as lenient with opposing counsel on some of those cases. But no real solution to this problem. Very frustrating.
Maybe take one or two more, the ones that came in during our usual hour, and we will...
We'll ask you to come back next week and promise to answer your questions.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Yeah.
My priority date is August 2011 in EB2. Should I consider downgrading to EB3 or wait for getting current EB2? I would downgrade. I think, let's look at the dates here.
August 2011 on EB2. EB2 final action August is 1st of June 2011. They're going to be, I say this person's going to be current in the next month, in September, good chance of that.
In EB2?
In EB2, yeah.
Well, let me look at my prediction and your prediction. So India EB2 2013. We're talking about 2013 here, right?
No, this is prior date of August 2011.
Yes, I'm seeing here that we are predicting a better movement for EB2.
Yeah, I mean, already they're on June 1st, 2011.
Dates for filing is going to be, So where should I consider downgrade or wait for getting EB? Is it very close to June? You
could file an adjustment of status right now. That's the real.
The question is, which one is better path for him to get a green card?
That approved EB2 I-140 cases, we're seeing them move smoother when they're based upon an old approved I-140.
Well, there's no guarantee that the new I-140 will be approved. That's number one.
That's true.
Because of many issues, with financial ability questions, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Many employers going through a pandemic.
Anybody else who's who's listening to us right now can tell you, hey, are they really fast about approving EB3 I-140s? No, not the downgrades. No, we have, tons pending from October. So that's a real challenge.
I'd wait until October and then make a decision.
Yeah, I think there's a reasonable chance that this person, August 2011, they could be current next month.
And he can file also too. He can file. Yeah. If you want to be, hey, I don't want to have to play this guessing game. File 2 I-140. That's an I-140 downgrade and adjustment status, and file another adjustment status with your current approved EB2 I-140, and now you don't have to worry about it.
That's the cool thing about having two pending adjustments. It's called I can fall asleep. I don't have to watch Sam and Brian Yammer on the internet, and I'll just wait until my green card in the mail.
Yes, and let Oppenheim trying to figure out how to allocate visas onto that one.
Yeah,
it'll be quite a challenge.
We'll hit maybe this last one here.
Sounds good. What is your opinion on 2022? Will the dates of EB green card slow down as family-based green card will be processed more than EB? So obviously, what we're getting, the 150,000 allocated, we're getting in 2022. Well, fiscal year
2022,
yeah,
which begins October 2021,
has been taken from the family base from 2021
because they weren't issued because the consulates have been closed.
So there's no concern with that. As for the following fiscal year, which is the fiscal year 2023, predicting that is like predicting.
Well, do you predict the pandemic will end at some point, Sam?
Yeah,
I think consulates open up eventually.
I think so, but it may take more than a year, 2 years.
Yeah, believe me, I'm disheartened by that fact. But ultimately, they're going to start bringing people in, issuing those diversity immigrant visas, issuing family-based visas, and when those get issued to people, there's less rollover of those.
And Biden has prioritized family immigration over employment immigration in his policies.
Yeah.
With that, thank you so much, guys, for being patient with us and listening to us. If you want to know how to contact us, we are going to be in the content section, the notes section at the bottom. And again, don't forget to subscribe so you can get the notification when we go live next Monday.
Thanks so much, everybody.